I started this channel almost 5 years ago with a passion for PC gaming, and I'm always excited to try out something new or unique. Well, this week, Montech sent over the wood version of their XR case for me to take a look at. But instead of just doing a review on it, I decided to design an entire build around it, giving you style, performance, and most importantly, value. So stick around and enjoy the show. This build looks awesome. Why don't I tell you what's inside? Oh, I hope you didn't skip ahead to this point, because if you did, you missed the thermal and airflow testing. Might want to go back and check that out. It's kind of cool. I'll cover the case first, since it's the main reason for the entire build. The XR Wood is an ATX chassis with 4 pre-installed ARGB fans, 360-degree dust filtration, and American walnut wood accents on the front at the top and bottom. The CPU was easy. I went with Zen 4 to give this PC an upgrade path, but still provide solid gaming performance. This has the Ryzen 5 7600. It's got 6 cores and 12 threads and boosts up to 5.1 GHz. Some would argue to just go for the 9600X instead, since they're essentially the same price, but this one runs a little bit cooler and saved me about 10 bucks. Plus, there's no need for a BIOS update. The motherboard is the Asus B650 Creator. It's an ATX board and is kind of overkill for this build, what with its ultra-fast I/O and plenty of storage options, but the aesthetics match my design and didn't change performance at all. If you want to copy this build at home, this is where you can save some money. Now, cooling the CPU isn't that hard, but I still wouldn't recommend using AMD's box cooler included with the 7600. In fact, you can never have too much cooling. Montech answered the call for this as well, with their new Hyperflow Silent 360. It's the same performance as their Hyperflow ARGB models, but without all the lights and extra cable mess. I was really impressed with their RGB model when I did my review last year. If you want, I'll leave it linked up here and you can go check it out for a full deep dive. The RAM is from TeamGroup. It's 32 gigs of their T-Create Expert Series DDR5 running at 6,000 MHz. This is 2 16GB sticks. No RGB, no fancy heat sinks, just raw performance. 32 gigabytes and 6,000 megahertz is really the sweet spot for value when it comes to DDR5 right now. For storage, we've got the Kingston Fury Renegade NVMe. It's a 1 terabyte Gen 4 drive that's got up to 7,300 megabits per second transfer speeds. Megabytes. That's what I meant. Again, it might be overkill for the build, but Gen 4 drives are so cheap right now, you might as well get it. Of course, the GPU is what matters most for gaming. That's why I got one used, and you should too. This time I went with Team Red and threw in an RX 6700 XT. This is from their RDNA 2 architecture and gives you 12 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory on a 192-bit bus. If you can find one for about $300, that's a good deal. I don't recommend paying much more than that. For power, I'm using a Montech Century G5. It's fully modular, 850 watts, 80 plus gold rated, and PCI 5.0. This gives you some upgradability if you want to swap out the GPU for something more powerful, which I'll talk about at the end. Since a few days have passed and I've had some time with this PC, I want to cover its performance. I ran a couple games at 1440p resolution, and here's the results. First, I went with one of the still most popular games, Fortnite, and I ran it at native 1440p resolution. No upscaling here. I wanted to see what the worst performance I'd experience was. FPS was around 110 to 120 and was pretty consistent. Sorry I didn't show the 1% lows. The performance side of this was kind of a last-minute idea. Next time, I'll be more prepared, I promise. The temps this system was running were great. They were in the mid-60s for the CPU and the mid-70s for the GPU. I ran Fortnite twice, and for the second run, I decided to enable some upscaling to see what the difference would be between native and upscaled. I turned super resolution to quality, which is 66% scaling, just to see what the performance increase would be. And the numbers shot up to about 180 FPS, but there was definitely more dips than native. Both upscaled and native ran great though. Apex Legends is up next. I wanted to get at least 2 shooters since they're popular and less demanding on the system, so you could push those higher FPS. Here, the settings were set to high with ambient occlusion on medium. The average FPS ranges from as low as 150 all the way up to 200. I know it's kind of a big swing. Temperatures again were very good throughout. The 7600 ran at 5.1 GHz the entire time and didn't go over 67C. The GPU again was in the mid-70s. Keep in mind, this GPU doesn't have the best cooler on it. I forgot to mention in the parts breakdown, but this is the PowerColor Fighter edition. It's a clean aesthetic and it went with my design for the build, but it's only a 2-fan, 2-slot cooler. So it really isn't the beefiest thing in the world. There's definitely higher end coolers for the 6700 XTs out there. This one just really fit the design. I like the brushed aluminum looking backplate that it has. It's just very clean and the performance is the same no matter what. So even though the GPU doesn't have the biggest cooler on this model, the XR Wood really provided a lot of airflow for this thing and it kept temps in check. Cyberpunk 2077 is a great test for performance since it's so demanding. I didn't run any upscaling or ray tracing, I just wanted raw performance numbers. Settings were on high for almost everything. It did struggle to hit 60 FPS running around town. I was seeing the low 50s, but the experience was just fine. I didn't feel any stuttering or lag, and if I would have turned off the FPS counter, I wouldn't even known that I was below 60, because it was such a smooth experience. Also, the temps were fantastic for this game too. I love seeing the utilization of the GPU at the max, around 99 to 100%. Fantastic, it means the system is well balanced. Another great RPG that's also demanding is Hogwarts Legacy. The high preset was used, but I turned off ray tracing and FSR. This is straight native performance. We were hitting 60 FPS again, which is fine for story-based games. The thing to look for here is the memory allocation. If you were using an RTX 4060 or RX 7600, which comes in right around the same price that I paid for my 6700 XT, those cards would not be giving you as nice of an experience. Hogwarts Legacy was using 10 gigs of VRAM at native 1440p resolution. Gaming performance was excellent. I just went with basic settings. I used presets for most of it right out of the box. I just went to medium or high presets and then checked my FPS numbers because I feel like that's what most people will do. They'll just plug it in, boot up their favorite game and start playing. Am I wrong? Now that you got to see the performance of the system, I want to talk about the XR Wood and the cooler that Montech sent over. I want to give my opinions of it. It's not really a full review on these things, but there was a couple things that I want to talk about for them, and I figured I'd just cover it all in one big video here, because that's what it's all about. It's the full build. First, the XR Wood. Let's cover the positives. I really like the premium design. The wood adds such a nice touch of elegance. It's not overdone, and it's not a copycat of anything like the Fractal North has the wood accents on the front. Everybody's getting into the wood design in PC cases now, but it's not a copycat of that. It really just has that subtle look to it. I like that the word Montech is engraved in it using like a laser engraver. I think that's really neat. You can take out the mesh filter in the front if you want more airflow. I have the filter in, so all my testing as far as thermals goes was with the front mesh filter in and the top mesh filter on. So this is as bad as the thermals would get. You could actually open it up even more and get better thermals if you remove those. Speaking of airflow, I think the airflow in this case is excellent. The temps were great, and even with the mesh filter on the front, My GPU only saw around the mid 70s, and like I said, this is a smaller cooler than some of the 6700 XTs that I've had, so really impressive to be able to continue to cool that. That just means you're getting solid airflow coming across. The 4 included fans are fantastic. They're really not that loud. They're actually quite silent, even at like full load. I just really like how much airflow they push, and they're included with the case. I say this all the time, if you're gonna buy a PC case that includes fans with it, use them. Don't swap them out for something else. It's not worth it. You are paying for that in the price of the case, you might as well use them. Last thing I really like is the cases, no matter what, if you pick white or black, it's the same price for both. It's $80, $79.99 US, and you don't have that upcharge for the white model. If you wanna go with white, you're paying the same price. Fantastic. I think $80 is really good for this case. For the features that they give you and how easy it was to build in. I had a ton of space in the back, by the way, for cable management. I didn't even touch on that. I didn't even write it down. I just thought about it. The tray, the motherboard tray just gives you a lot of storage space to shove the cables. I didn't have to like press it down. Usually in the more budget category, $80 and under $100, I guess you could say. Sometimes you have difficulties closing that back panel because they just give you such little space. Now, no case is perfect, and there are a few negatives, which this case does have. Let's touch on them now. First thing I don't like is the PCI slot opening for your power connector to go to your GPU is really far over to the right. I get it that GPUs are longer these days, but your power connection is still at the end of the circuit board on the GPU. So you don't need a PCI connector way over here. I would move it like 1.5 inches to the left just to align with where this is. So can you move that over for me, Montech? Just a little. Second thing, for the top, please give us a cutout for the EPS connector. I don't know if that hurts the tooling, the structural rigidity, what it is. Some kind of something. Please give us something to put the EPS connector on after we put our radiator in. I've been building PCs for a long time, and I always forget to plug the EPS connector in before I put my radiator in the top. So I had to remove the radiator, plug EPS in, put the radiator back in. It's a whole production. If you could design something that had a cutout in there, I think it would be great. Last thing that I didn't like is the motherboard tray fans are totally unnecessary. I don't know why you need this motherboard tray cutout here. I guess it probably matches the standard XR internal layout. That probably makes sense now that I think about it. I understand if that's part of the tooling to save costs, great. Otherwise, we don't need it. I want to talk about the Hyperflow Silent 360. I really love Montech's liquid cooler lineup. Their original Hyperflow series, the ARGB one, was great. This one's great too. The price is awesome and the performance is spectacular. The Hyperflow Silent has different fans on it than the original RGB model. They run at the same 2200 RPM as the originals, but they're 13.9% quieter. I think it's a super clean design with no RGB, gives you no frills cooling performance at cost. I also like that the Hyperflow Silent is the same price as the XR Wood. It's $80 for the 360mm cooler. The 240 version is $10 less. So if you want to get the 240 in this, you could save yourself 10 bucks. Oh, that's another thing I could have done. I could have put the 240 rad on the back wall there, opened this up and put fans in here and created better exhaust flow. That might not have been a bad idea. I see what you're doing there, Montech. I see what you're doing. Another great positive is the fans are already daisy chained and installed. They also come with a long extension cable to plug into your CPU fan header. Very clean installation. I didn't have to do anything to it. I literally removed it from the box and installed it onto the motherboard. The thermal paste is already applied. I just had to swap the bracket from Intel to AMD because it comes with Intel out of the box. I only have one complaint about the Hyperflow, and it's the couplers that go on the pump head. They're chrome. Maybe they're reused from the original Hyperflow series. They probably are. Cost savings, I get it. But paint them black or something, I don't know. I'll paint them black. I don't like the chrome. That's just me. It didn't really fit what I was going for, but you can't really tell. This build came together so well, and I'm shocked at its performance. I didn't know what to expect from the 6700 XT since it's 3 generations old and wasn't the highest end in the first place, but pairing it with the Ryzen 5 7600 was a great choice. When it comes to a new build with a $1,000 budget, this is a good option. It gives you better performance than an RTX 4060, RX 7600 XT, and even Intel's Arc B580. Plus, you could upgrade the GPU later to something like an RX 9070 XT and really see an increase in performance. Huge thanks to Montech for sponsoring this build. They've been constantly coming out with top-notch parts, providing incredible value. And the XR Wood and Silent series of coolers are no exception. I think they're incredible, and I can't wait for the next thing that Montech comes out with. And if new PC parts are something that interests you, make sure you hit subscribe down below and turn on your notifications so you can catch the next PC review or PC build here on the channel. That's it for now, and as I always say, I'm Danny with Danny's Tech Channel, and I'll see you in the next one.